Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm your host, Bob DeMarco. Coming up, we're going to take a look at some Rosecraft knives. That's right, I finally got some Rosecraft blades. I'm very excited about them. Also, the new Jack Wolf knife. Ooh, the after hours Jack, you know what I mean? And then get me excited again about modern folders. Now, I say that having just gone, ooh, the Jack Wolf knives, after hours Jack. This is a modern folder, also queuing on a lot of the traditional folder things that I've really been jamming on recently. So I probably shouldn't talk. Plus, I've got a number of other folders here that I've really been into recently, but I don't have that same acquisitive drive for more and more and more folders. And something feels like it's missing, but you know, cyclical. We're all cyclical. Ground Fog, how's it going, sir? Good to have you with us. I don't know, Ground Fog. I said we're all cyclical. Maybe we're not all like me. Those are my own priors. Do you guys come in and out of cycles like right now? Fixed blades and slip joints, especially slip joints. Have a nice day. Nice to have you with us. Speaking of fixed blades, good evening, Junkalos, he says. Well, good evening to you, sir. Pat D's Nuts. How's it going, Pat? Snagged a Hinderer today from Southern Edges. Okay, Hinderers get me excited. No doubt about that. Out of the many knives I didn't grab, I did grab this tonight because Hinderers always get me excited. Dave, how's it going, sir? Evening, junkies, one and all, he says. This old sword blade reviews with us. Good to have you here, man. A modern folder to consider, Bob, the Microtech MSI Ramlock. Okay, I love the spirit of that, just not crazy about that knife. But the stitch, same kind of format, right? Just a design that I really like. I keep thinking about that. But the blade to handle ratio on the stitch with that giant choil, sometimes, okay, I'm being silly. I should check that one out. Pardon me. Pat D's Nut says, my bad. Hinderer XM18 3.5-inch spear point. Very nice. I like the classic spear point, the very first blade they created, the very first production Hinderers. Stonewash bronze finish, nice titanium and blue black G10 handle, stonewash finish blade, CPM S45VN ×1. Not sure what that means. Cool thing about these, this is actually the factory on my DLT exclusive no choil Warncliffe XM18 3.5-inch. This is the original JG10 that it came with, but all of my other Hinderers have custom scales on them, and I really like them, especially the aftermarket canvas micarta scales that still have all of the dimple milling. I like them. I like the texture. So those are my favorite of the custom scales I have. Blade Ogre, nice to have you here with us, Blade Ogre. Excuse me while I. Oh, yes. Blade Ogre's had some interesting slip joints this week. What were they now? Now I'm trying to remember what he had. He had something cool I was looking forward to talking about. Craig Vincent, nice to have you. Get your motors running, Junkers. We about to live up here in the Junker King. I love that. I'm about to go live up here with the Junker King. I love it. I love it. That's what leads me to say, please, I command thee, hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. It will enhance your life. It will make you feel better about things. And really, all it is, it's like a fake digital dollar. It's just pressing a button and then something happens. It doesn't really happen, but someone's affected. Well, they're not really affected at all. It's all kind of virtual. It's all kind of real. So do it and see if something mystical, something magical happens in your life. Who knows? It could. Never Enough Knives 007. Sup, junkies? Nice to have you with us here, 007, as always. 5-Door, good to have 5-Door with us. We have a bunch of gentlemen junkies with us. Greetings, all. Awesome score, Pat D. Yeah. Especially, like I said, with that spear point. That's one you don't see as much anymore. Ketmuk Neshart, nice to have Ketmuk with us. Good evening, Bob, Jim, and Junkies. He says, good evening to you, sir. Awesome collection does Ketmuk have. And he also actually takes him out back and beats him in the bush. out there. Nomadic Adventures has a dog. Right on, man. I too, my dog actually kind of looks like your dog there. He's a butterscotch stallion. What a cutie. Luck Knives, nice to have you with us. What is up? He says, what is up with you, sir? Mike is making some really cool knives with some very interesting fullering, vertical fullering, vertical repeated fullering, if you will. Kind of reminds me of some exotic Japanese chef's knives I've seen. Very cool stuff. And then a really cool tactical model that he just created. Very cool stuff. Check out Luck Knives on Instagram. Nomadic Adventures says, Bob, we want to send you some coffee. I would love some coffee, sir. I love coffee. As a matter of fact, that's something I'm going to ask for Christmas is a coffee subscription. I think that was coffee, or was that a birthday cake? It's not my birthday, but I love cake too. So if you want to send me cake, well, you know what? Don't send me cake. Send me coffee. Craig Vincent says, I just picked up a Cold Steel Frenzy. Very cool. That's about as exciting as it gets. That is a sweet knife. One thing about the Frenzy that I always thought was a little funny is there's a Frenzy 1, the Frenzy 2, and the Frenzy 3. And if you follow the naming of most naming convention of most Cold Steels, that would mean different sizes, a small, medium, and large. But in this case, the 1 is blue, the 2 is white, and the 3 is green or something like that. So it's kind of funny. It's just colors. Nomadic Adventure says, smash the like button so hard the screen cracks. Yes, do that. Do that. And then you'll be in a position like me in need of a new laptop. Byron Kennedy, nice to have you here, Byron. Howdy, Bob, Jim, and Junkies. Thursday Night Knives. Hard to get excited about small, overpriced modern folders. I feel like not that the world has reached peak folder, certainly not, but I have, and you know, I say that with massive amounts of caution, because I know how much I come in and out of really being obsessed about something. And right now, I'm obsessed with slip joint knives. I'm obsessed with certain case knives, and GEC knives and Jack Wolf knives and the C. Reisner cutlery knives. Gary Buquat. Very. Let me do this again. Sorry, Gary Buquat. Anyway, Gary, very nice to have you here, sir. Sorry I butchered your name. Greetings, fellow Earthlings and knife freaks. Yes, you've come to the right place. We are mostly Earthlings, and we are all knife freaks for sure. Craig Vincent says, Bob, we will storm the gates of the Gerber Paraframe factory with you. Lead on, sir. The only thing is what do you do when you get inside? You're like the dog that caught the car. It's like, I don't want any of these Gerbers. I just wanted to break in and cause a scene. Maybe we ignore them. And maybe by ignoring them, they're like, well, it doesn't have to be fully see-through. What if we put a little G10 on it? And then, you know, after a while, it's what if we put skiff bearings inside? So maybe we just ignore them. Yes, coffee. Coffee, 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 says Nomadic Adventures 4 times. Yes, please. I mean, that sounds terrible that I'm like, yes, send me coffee, because that's how someone behaves when they have an issue. I don't have an issue. This is just how I get my water. And staying hydrated is very important. Blade Ogre says, had the case limited that this is okay. This is what it is. Blade Ogre always has 10 really cool knives. He talks about them here, but he also shows them off during the week on Instagram. And some slippies really caught my eye. Had the case limited editions of the clasp and elephant toe on Instagram this week. The clasp knife, that's what it is about as ogre as it gets, but it's called various things and not a pattern you see much of these days. Okay, so Blade Ogre, there is a cold steel called the Black Rhino, which to me is the one that I want to see resurrected. Excuse me. It's a full dress knife. It had the contoured G10 and polished aluminum scales. And it had the profile, handle, and blade pretty much of a clasp knife. And if you don't know what a clasp knife is, maybe Jim can pull one up. But a clasp knife is a big ass clip point slip joint. that looks like it's got kind of a horn-shaped handle, a bit like a Navaja, but a um, big, broad clip point blade. And Case makes them, and they are very cool. And I've always wanted the folding, locking cold steel version of them from days of yore. But clasp knife, very cool. And then what was the other one? I don't remember what the other one was. But that clasp knife is the one that really caught my eye. Nicely done, sir. Yeah, it is interesting how certain things just start to jump out as interest to you. And how do you do that? You can't Hero Sticks, nice to have you here. Evening and cheers, all the best. Uh, cheers, all best live of the week. Thank you, Hero Sticks. That's really nice to hear. And I was about to go philosophical and say, you, it's like you can't pre-think an idea. You can't choose what's going to grab you. This is not my own original thought. This is something a lot of people talk about, but you can't. You're not choosing what grabs you and interests you. Like I didn't choose to go down a slip joint alley, but that's where I find myself, and it's like, where's that coming from? Is that God telling me to be? No, probably God has no interest whatsoever. So what is it? Is it the universe? Well, yeah, I don't do that. I don't do that. I used to do that anymore. I just say God. Blade Ogre says, that is what the Black Rhino is. Yes, definitely want the Black Rhino even more now. What a gorgeous knife that was. Didn't last too long, but I've heard a lot of people say that that's one that they want to see resurrected. And I've seen Jimmy Slash has one. And I was kind of joking around. Wouldn't it be funny if you gave it to me? Like, he's a generous guy. Maybe he will. He's like, yeah, wouldn't that be hilarious? Be very out of sorts. Byron Kennedy, one should storm the paraframe factory and set all the boxes on end like a sea of dominoes and then turn out the lights. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Or you throw them in the giant melting urns and melt them down to make Damascus out of them, and then real knives. Have a Knife Day says, I purchased a classic folder made in Albacete, I don't know how to say Albacete, Spain. Simon Sevillana bull, a Navajo with a different for me locking system. Very cool. That's the ratchet. I would be very interested in buying one of those and finding out where you got it. Uh, I would love to have an original. I mean, by that I mean a Spanish-made, handmade Navaja with the ratchet and the big clip point and the horn and the rattle snake handle thing, the whole 9 yards. I would love to have one of those. I would carry that knife and cut my sandwich with it, and make a big fuss about it because that is cool. To me, that's like my favorite knife out of history, the Navaja. I love that. But a lot of things here, that are modern interpretations, um, and I'm pretty thrilled with them, especially the cold steel versions. Uh, I didn't have that on me today, but I had several other things. Why don't we get to that? Why don't we get to a pocket check? Ooh. So on me today, I had the Sencut Fantera. This is a really cool knife given to me by my friend Jaime, who lives around the way. He and his wife and child, awesome people, and he has recently gotten into knives and really loves the Civivi Sencut universe. I'm happy about that. This one was a little too big for him, and he gave it to me, and I love it. And I've been carrying it a lot. That big, broad leaf-shaped blade is really awesome. I mean, it's pretty damn thin and it's very broad and almost fully flat ground. So it's super thin, super slicey and really great. And I love this big, broad wooden handle. The broadness of the handle is nice because it gives you a lot of leverage sideways to control it. One problem, though, a big old crack right here in the wood by this screw. Let me see if that'll focus. Yep. Yeah, that seems to be getting worse. I noticed a little hairline there the other day, and it seems to be getting worse. But that's okay. It's a an awesome knife, and it was a free knife. I'm just gonna maybe back that screw out a little bit. But before I do, I'll put a little bit of epoxy in there, a little bit of super glue in there or something, and then I'll back the screw out. Hopefully, when I back the screw out, the wood comes back together just sort of naturally, and then that'll stay together, and everything will be good. I have noticed a little bit of change in the color of the wood where my hand grips it most. And unlike what I expected, which is for it to get darker, it's actually lighter where my hands have been more. So I'm wondering what that's all about. But very much liking, and I would recommend this Fantara. Not only big and broad and sharp as I've mentioned, but also a nice, nearly 4-inch blade, which I really dig. Okay, next up, I've been my love affair with the little bro. That doesn't sound right. My my digging the little bro is still going on, carrying it in this. I keep meaning to swap out this pen. I love this pen. This is a little um, Cowigo. Wait, is that what it's called? Cowico, sorry. Cowico fountain pen, Lilliput, I think it's called. Tiny little aluminum fountain pen. It's great. But the nib, I think I must have jacked it up. It flows too freely. So I might have to look at another nib for this thing and keep forgetting to take it out, but also have the Olight. I can never remember the name of this flashlight. The i3T. What a great flashlight. Uh Never find that I need it when I don't have it. When I have it, I use it a lot. All right, but the knife was the little bro, and this is such a beauty. This was last month's release, the November 2023 release of the classic boy's knife with the clip point blade and that beautiful blue Kieranite. Looks like you're staring into the universe, the deep universe. Love that. A very beautiful knife, and a thin and solid, super thin cutter. Very nice hollow grind there. So I had that, a fixed blade. I showed this off last week and didn't realize it was mine. This was actually given to me by Michael Jarvis of Auxiliary Manufacturing, which is really so grateful for this beautiful handmade pocket Bowie. This drops tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday the 8th. Auxiliary Manufacturing will be dropping their pocket Bowie. They have this in 3 flavors of G10. You've got this really nice orange and green, olive drab and safety orange. You have one that's he's calling it Mojave. It's sort of like an ivory and tan G10. It looks really nice, sort of understated and classy. And then there's a black G10, I believe. And then there's a Sukamaki wrap, which is gorgeous, his Japanese ray skin wrap. And then lastly, he has some carbon fiber of some ilk, marbled or something like that. Very cool looking, but all on this beautiful recurve, small recurve, pocketable Bowie blade here. It's a pretty stout blade. It's got some heft to it. It's got some width to it and some real beef behind the edge. It's wickedly sharp. It reminds me kind of the type of sharp that a Microtech is. Um, when you run your fingers from the spine to the edge, you're like, how's this ever going to cut? It's so thick. And then somehow it just magically cleaves everything it touches. So yes, geometry is a huge deal, and having things very thin behind the edge is a huge deal for sliciness, but not necessary to have a super wicked sharp knife. And this is testament to that. I'm still experimenting with how to carry this. I took the discrete carry concept style clip off of this. Wasn't liking any of my preferred carry options with the size of this. So today I had it just dropped in my pocket, which was okay. But I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the cord on this and then just rest it in my waistband. And then when you tug on it, boom, you have it in hand. I think that's going to be my favorite way to carry this, because I like things on my belt. I like knives on my belt. I like them right up front, more than I do rattling around in my pocket, for instance. And if it's going to be in my waistband, I like a slightly longer blade than this. So I'm really going to dig this as a tug knife, if you will. That's how I used to carry that little safe maker dagger from Cold Steel, which is now my wife's dagger. But very, very nice. Check this guy out if you haven't. We've had Michael Jarvis on this show and also on the interview show, but he made the pocket rocket that I talk about a lot. This is his 3-inch pocket rocket dagger. He also makes it in a sort of Pikal hawkbill style blade. One of my favorite handles on all of my fixed blade knives here. It's so universal with the divots here at the front and the back of the handle. In cross section, it's octagonal. Just a great knife, man. This is really great for in the waistband appendix, for reverse grip draw. Really great knife for that. And but this one, I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go with the cord. I love the recurve on this. This is AEBL 61.5, I believe, Rockwell. Nice long swedge, beautiful recurve, and this coffin-shaped handle is just killer. I love the coffin-shaped handle here, and it's got all of these. Each one is a little bit unique. Each one's a fingerprint with how the handle is scooped out and such. But it feels so good in hand in this reverse grip. Each finger nestles into one of these scoops, and the coffin style handle is a classic Bowie design, and it is symmetrical and universal and ergonomic, and you can flip it around and have a Pikal style sort of tearing stance here with the blade, where you're pulling and cutting with that pull, and you still have that universal grip on the coffin shaped handle. These things are awesome. If you like little buoys, if you like little fixed blades, go check out Auxiliary Manufacturing. They're also super reasonable. I know the G10 is what, I don't want to misquote, 235, I believe, and then the Sukamaki wrap is like 285, and the carbon fiber is 265 or something like that. But they're very, very reasonable for handmade, for a handmade in the pocket buoy that doubles as it's a great utility knife, but would double as a wicked self-defense option, no doubt. Okay, last up for emotional support, my emotional support knife today was the new and the great Stinger EDC from Off Grid Knives. This is a full inch shorter in blade length than the original Stinger, which I absolutely love. And overall, it's like a good 2¼ inches shorter. So this is a 3-inch blade, 4-inch handle, and it fits the hand perfectly. The ergonomics are so nice. Basically about as thick as the original, but everything else scaled down by some percentage, because if you look at it, it's got the same contours as the original handle. The blade has changed. That tip is no longer center line. The tip on this one is a little bit higher. It's more of a drop point, fully flat ground, sort of a universal drop point utility shape, and slicey as the day is long. I talk about this all the time with the off-grid knives, but they are the most exceptional cardboard cutters consistently. Like all of their knives, even their most quote unquote oblique ground knives, which I would say the big brother of this might be, still just zips through cardboard, especially, like it's not there. And I think it's all pretty thin blade stock. This looks pretty thick for an off-grid, still performs the same way. This is a really great knife, and I think people were dying for a smaller Stinger. Well, they certainly got it. This thing is awesome, and the action is ever better. In other words, it started great. There's a little bit of coating on there. I find that coated blades, after a week of noodling with them and opening and closing them, they get better and better because a little race is created in that around that pivot. So these are the knives I had on me today. Tell me what you had. I think it's cool to look at my little slip joint and my fixed blade, and they're about the same size. Uh, so pretty cool there. And yeah, Fantara is a fantastic knife. Let me know what you were carrying as I put this stuff away. Got some other cool stuff we're going to show at the state of the collection. Craig Vincent says, taking cues from the attention you've been bringing to modern slip joints. I'm bidding on some Tucson's to get my feet wet before it gets expensive. Oh, okay. So modern slip joint Tucson's. So do they look like modern locking folders, just done in a slip joint way? I'm curious about that. Gary says, last name was close enough, Bob. Pronounced Bucco. Thank you. Yeah. If I were less tired, I would have gone to Bucco. I absolutely love your show. Thanks for all you do. It's my pleasure, Gary. Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for the kind words. Loyal Group, good to have you here with us, sir. Evening, gents. I'm well into Jack and Zero. Jack and Zero. If you're going to have Jack, why go Zero? I'm just kidding. And late to the party again, he says. Hey, you're not that late. It's 27 minutes into it. Look, I'm married into a really awesome family, and the overriding culture in that family is Bolivian, and 27 minutes late is nothing. Let me just put it to you that way. It's kind of like martial arts time. Bolivian time is. Mike Flamian, nice to have you here, Mike Flamian. Hey, Bob, I remember tonight. Well, I'm glad to have you here, man. It's good to have, it's good to have all the old names and a lot of new names. It's great. Hero Sticks, love that auxiliary designs, Bowie. Gotta get one. Oh man, yeah. And look at the sheath. I didn't focus on the sheath long enough, but I want to show you. Look at all of those grommet holes, man. You have a lot of options here. That horizontal carry DCC clip might be a good thing for that. Mr. VC, good to have you here with us. Mr. VC256, greetings from Österreich. I'm glad to have made it to alive again. I got a similar problem with the wood on my Civivi Chevalier. I wrote them an email and got sent a replacement scale for free. That is a price I can live with. I should do that. Yep, I should do that. I don't remember seeing that when he gave this to me, and I haven't noodled with it, but I'm sure it was there, like in a hairline way. Never Enough Knives 007 says, oh, well, thank you for that tip also, sir. Never Enough Knives 007 says, went for a hike to collect some fat wood today and had the JK Handmade Knives hiker backup fixie, the Cold Steel Fin Wolf, and a vintage Camillus Scouts knife. I love Scouts knives, man. Filled up a gallon bag with split fat wood. How cool is that? First of all, everything about what you just wrote was great. I love the Camillus Scout knife. The other day, I carried in a legitimate fashion. Let me get it. This Boker. Sorry, I carried this Boker, and what I mean in a legitimate fashion is it wasn't part of my bag of knives. It was my slip joint carry, and I love and miss these knives. I love and sort of miss this era. This was the knife for a long time. This was the folder, this was the multi-tool. And this one happened by Boker Magnum is inexpensive. It's got ebony wood, inexpensive, a great awl. Everything works. Shit. Including the cap lifter, because sometimes the cap lifters on these knives are wonky. And the blade is great. None of it rattles. None of it wobbles. I am constantly cutting myself. I cut myself with the awl here today. That's not the most precise cut. So, oh well. Will B, good to have you here, Will. Hey, Jim, Bob, and fellow junkies. I'm a bit late tonight. Well, late is better than never. It's nice to have you here. I like a staggered entrance. You know what I mean? They say that fashionably late is technically 8 minutes. And by technically, I mean, in terms of the etiquette books, the old school etiquette books, which I've been sort of exposed to. And now my daughter is going through some etiquette stuff, and my other daughter will too. And it's cool. It's cool. Uh, I recommend it, whether you have girls or boys. I know we've taught our girls a lot of stuff, but there's some stuff that I don't know. And it's good to have other people teaching it. If I had boys, I'd be teaching them how to open doors and all that stuff and how to pull out chairs. But it's also nice to have the official word on that from people more civilized than I. Gary Bucco says, what today's lovely carry was the Hogtooth EDC carry. Yes. Okay. So today, Gary was carrying the EDC Tonto. I've been carrying this a lot this past week. This one in particular, and the Winkler belt knife. Man, Gary's a class act. Gary is a class act. Gary, keep your ears peeled because I've been talking with Matt Chase of Hogtooth Knives, and we have the Nova 2. We're bandying back and forth, and soon in the new year, I will have enough loose scratch to pay for a prototype. I don't like to ask for anything on comp. You know, I'm sure he would. He's a very awesome dude. He'd probably just say, "Oh, let me just make it for it." But I want to make sure that I pay for it so that I can carry it and wear it and know that what we end up designing is going to be great. But anyway, keep your ears peeled because in the next couple of months, we will have a Nova 2 that we will be releasing, and it will be the opposite of a clip point. Cold Steel Collector 808, good to have you here, man. Aloha, Bob for President 2028. Yes, 2028. Yes, that is a realistic goal. Thank you. Thank you. I will accept. I am not going to campaign, but I will accept a nomination. This old sword says today's carry, the Knife Junkie Hogtooth Nova 1. Dave was carrying his Nova 1 today. The Vosteed Mink Fixie, the Civivi Vision FX in Ultim. I got to get that. I have to get the Civivi Vision FX. I don't need it in Ultim, and I don't need the beautiful Damascus, but I want the mechanism, and it's the only Snex design I will ever be able to own. So I would just like to own that. The Max Ace Black Mirror, that's cool, in copper carbon fiber and M390. The Off-Grid Viper V2 in Coyote Tan. The Arcane Design Abyss, very nice. And the Olight Seeker 4 Pro. Dave always has a great carry. This is I feel, now I could be mistaken, but I feel like your carry has expanded. I feel like every time we get a pocket check from you, Dave, there's like one more blade, or maybe every other week you're adding another blade. And I like this trend. More is better. And we all know your knife collection, and more is better for sure. If you're not following this old sword, please do yourself that favor. Excuse me. Blade Ogre says, carrying the Sniper Blade Works LPC, the Demco River Wolf. That's a cool one for sure. The Tactile Maverick, another cool one. The Para 3 Crewwear, the Queen Jumbo Trapper, nice. The Case Bulldog Clasp Knife that we were just discussing. The Great Eastern Cutlery Hunter Fixie. We got to talk about that for a second. Tell me what you think, Blade Ogre, so I don't forget by the time I'm done with this list. Let me know what you think of Great Eastern Cutlery Fixie. Why would I get a Fixie from them? Let me know. The HHA, MILF 01, Hardcore Hardware, right? MILF 01, that's their fixed blade, or their folder. And actually, it's like military folder or something. It's not MILF. Get your mind out of the gutter. But of course, everyone wants it to be that. Cold Steel Tiger Claw, a classic. The French Broad and the Sleazy Ogre. The French Broad, I have my own right here. I am digging it. But I like one even better than this, and we'll talk about that in a second. Maybe I'll just pull that out because the Grim Reaper says, well, Grim Reaper, nice to have you here, man. Good evening, everyone, he says. Well, good evening to you. Grim Reaper, I want to know if you can get me excited about modern folders again, because we were just talking about, let's see, Chris just brought up the French Broadjack. Here's my French Broadjack from Rosecraft Blades. Man alive. We're going to talk about this in a second. But first, Craig Vincent says Cold Steel 8010, the XL Voyager Parapoint. That is a delicious one. I think you mean Spear Point, and I love that one. That one reminds me of the Barong. The SR1 Light Clip Point, New Blue Frenzy, right on. So that's 4 like hard hitting cold steels right there. Civivi Vision FG, I'm assuming that's a totally emotional support knife. The Rat one in Aus 8, recently modified petrified fish Havrog, and the Demco Armiger Necker. Very nice, Craig. But what happens if you have to cut something or you have to stab or slash something? What are you going to do then? You better have a knife on you. Pedro Armstrong, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy to you, sir. Loyal Group says that sculpted Bowie handle reminds me of some of Dave Winger's stuff. Which sculpted Bowie handle? Is it this one? And who's Dave Winger? Okay, so 2 questions here. I have heard that name, and I need to research who Dave Winger is. Five Door says Ferrum Forge Alurus. Excuse me. A little bit of go juice there. Ferrum Forge Alurus, Rosecraft Beaver Creek Barlow, indeed, and heavily used GEC steak knife. Very nice. I'm assuming that's a fixie. Let me know how you like the GEC fixie. Hero Stick says carried the Gareth Bull Mura, a fighting bull, and a really cool Lamborghini from the 60s. In Rosewood and DLC, mini J Cape. That knife is killer, by the way, the J Cape. In Burlap Micarta and Acid Stonewash, and a Taylor's Eyewitness Barlow in Ironwood. Okay, what's up with Taylor's Eyewitness? That's British, right? I know Patty always talks about those. I need to get one, right? I think I do. Is that the one with the big bulbous handle and the very extreme downward swooping British clip point? Sounds like a gaping hole in my collection here. Pat D's Nuts says carried the Asher Fixie and the Bad Habits Mofo. Asher Fixie. Oh, I can't conjure it in my mind, but I remember when Asher came out with a fixie. That was a while ago, if I'm not mistaken, and I do remember liking it. I just can't remember what it looked like. Morning from UK, says EDC. EDC, good to be here in your ears in the morning, man. It's still bright and early, no doubt. But I hope you're getting in your reps. I hope you're doing all your pull-ups and your push-ups and your sit-ups and all before your coffee. And well, my great grandfathers, 2 of them, before they would go off to the coal mines early in the morning, they would have a big bowl of coffee with lots of sugar and milk and a beaten egg in there and some whiskey. And that was the breakfast before going into the mines. And I got to say, first of all, thank you, great grandpa and great grandpa, for going into the mines and giving me this life, A. And B, I would be drinking and eating the same thing if I were doing what you did. So hats off to you. I don't know where I went with that, but good morning to the UK and EDC. Thanks for joining us. We also have Gareth HB from South Africa. How cool is that? Because we were just talking about Gareth Bull, a knife, and very cool. Good morning, Gareth, to you, sir. Cold Steel Collector 808 says that AUX is very, very nice. It is. And you know what? It doesn't matter which one you're talking about because they're both very, very nice. Here's the thing. Anyone EDC a dagger here? It's very not easy to EDC a dagger unless you have the safekeeper, some of the really small neck knife things from Cold Steel. But for the cost of an average titanium modern frame lock, you could have a custom handmade, in this case, dagger that you can EDC so easily. Or in this case, where'd it go? Bowie or buoy that you could so easily carry on you with that incredibly, what do you call it? Efficient recurve. This is a great cutter, great thruster, great get off of me knife. Everything. I love this knife, and I really like Michael Jarvis's work. Um, Very much like the designs and profiles of everything. Like aesthetically, we all know I'm a shallow guy, and I go for the aesthetics first, and he hits on that for sure immediately. But then the craftsmanship is on point, and then he just kind of loves what he does, and you can see some playfulness in there, and that's a that's something that, like, some of the greats in the art world, like Picasso, you'd see some of his playfulness. So I like the playfulness too. So awesome stuff. Anyway, Will B, good to have you here. Will, we already said hi. Grimsmo Norseman, Hinderer XM24 BPU. So that's Battlefield Pickup, Sponto, full textured tie. So full textured tie, does that mean that the texture you have here on this side, you have on the other side, kind of like the 0561 from ZT back in the day? Ferrum Forge Knife Works Aluris, the Benchmade Rift, the Kaiser Begleiter XL, the Axial Shift, Olight Baton 3, Pro Max. Lost my. Oh, dude. Wait. Okay. Are you sure you lost it today, or you just couldn't find it today? Because sometimes, which is which. It fell off. I was on the ferry. It fell out of my pocket, went in the water. That's it. Or I swear I put it in my bag. Will B says, "Oh, and my Spyderco Ronin 2. Can't forget my fixie." So Will B carries his Ronin 2 in a custom Kydex sheath, which I would recommend. I got to say, the Ronin is a really amazing fixed blade knife. Very thin, very sharp, very svelte. In a massive sheath, a sheath the size of Texas, literally the size of Texas. So, yeah, getting yourself a custom sheath for that one is highly advised. Loyal Group says, I walked my little fat puppy dog today with my trusty ZT0308. I love the 308. I wish I were in a ZT phase when that came out. It came out, debuted at $300, and I remember being like, nah. Because I was into spending $300 on other stuff. It's not like I matured out of paying that much for a knife. It was just spending that on other stuff. But I do love that knife. Ket McNessert says, today I carried a Bear Forest Knives GT EDC, Pena X Series Swayback, and the Jack Wolf Big Bro. I love the Big Bro. Great knife. Five Door says, if you're 5 minutes early, you're late. Bill Parcells. That is yeah. That's also a classic sort of gangster, not motto, but way of looking at it. Like, you never want to be the second guy to the meeting. You want to be there long before the meeting begins, so you can see if anyone else is showing up to the meeting before the meeting also. So yeah, you always want to be early. Being late or being on time always kind of has you compromised, except in certain situations. And I swear to God, I am the man when it comes to this. When it comes to getting somewhere on time, that's in the house. I'm the one you want to come to for that. I had to drop my daughter off at it was 7:45 in a super busy part of town. There's no parking, there's no pulling over. It's like, be there at that moment. Get out, get out. She clips onto the thing and she jumps out. The light is red. And she was out into the theater, and it was there. We were there to the minute. I have it all synced up. You want to get somewhere on time, you come to me. That felt so good. Will B says, I also had the amazing TCal knives. Oh, sapper in my work bag. You're breaking my heart. I didn't buy the sapper. I don't have the sapper. I love that thing. That thing is great, he says. I won it on TCal's Patreon. And of all of his current designs, it is my favorite. It is. It is beautiful. Well, you know what? It's been mentioned on other people's lives, so why not say it here? I have a design that with Tim Kell that is going to be happening sometime in the new year, early in the new year, and I'm very excited about it. It's smaller than the Sapper. It is more carryable. I've just been hesitant to talk about it because we don't have the, you know, date hammered out or any of that. But he's already talked about it on Jared's show, so I guess I should talk about it here. So yeah, save up some shekels this coming year for a TCal Knives Knife Junkie collaboration. Mr. VC256 says, today I got the MKM Comp 7. Oh, yeah, in Magna Cut, and it's the Swiss Army knife type of knife. Very cool. A Protect Terzuola ATCF and the Hogtooth Ruffian. Ah, Mr. VC warms the cockles of my heart, sir. Mr. VC is one of my longest running European patrons, and he has a Nova 1. He has the Ruffian from Hogtooth. If you guys don't Hogtooth, you got a Hogtooth. The Ruffian is this one right here. God, this knife is so cool. He's so cool. Matt Chase, let me just talk about Matt for a second. He's a former Marine scout sniper. And wait, Nova 2 will be my January 13th birthday. I need number. Okay. All right. We will talk all about that. I will take that and put that in the book, and you will get number 13. So yeah, this knife here, this is the Ruffian made by Matt Chase of Hogtooth Knives. Hogtooth is something that's awarded to every Marine Corps Scout sniper. That those platoons are now going away, and they're putting marksmen, I guess, in every platoon. But the Marine Corps Scout sniper platoons are now a thing of the past, which is, I know, a big bone of contention for a lot of Marine Corps snipers. But anyway, Matt does incredible work. This is one of his regular models, and then he does beautiful forged work. For my 50th birthday, my parents and I collaborated on a special knife for me that he did, and it's a work of art for sure. A work of art that you could take into a duel and win your life with. But then he also makes more quote unquote pedestrian models like this. So yeah, check that out. He's got some cool stuff. Justin Musica, nice to have you here, Justin. Hey Bob, great content lately. Have you seen the new Lion Steel Willie Fixie with a really nice handle contour? No, I have not, or I don't recognize the name. I'm wondering if you know of any similar EDC fixed blades. Is it the one with the I wonder if it's the one with the ring, because they came out with the two with the ring. One was a drop point, one was more of a sheep's foot. Really beautiful horizontal carry leather sheaths. Gareth says, I'm carrying a pickled steel claw and the CRKT M16 12Z and a Leatherman charge. What is the pickled steel claw? I like steel. I love pickles. I like claw. Like everything about that sounds cool. I just can't quite put it together in my mind. But before we get to Eugene, if it is that if that lion steel is the one that you're talking about with the small ring and the horizontal carry, TCal knives we were just talking about makes the Nighthawk, and I accidentally grabbed the MR1, which is the Pakal version of that with the edge on top. But imagine this with the edge where you would expect it to be, and these make for tremendous carry knives. probably about the cost of that lion steel, if not less, and yet handmade right here in Georgia by Tim Kell and his band of knife makers, which is basically just him and his wife, though I know they're expanding. And these are really good for EDC style carry. If you like the Pickall, this goes on. He makes these less often, but the Nighthawk, or I'm sorry, the Night Hunter with the edge down here is one that he makes all the time. So check that one out. That's a great one. Um, there's so many great EDC fixed blades. Justin says Dave Wenger makes an awesome micro tracker for from Boker. Ooh, I think I know that one. Boker does some cool stuff. Yeah, I'd love to check out some of their slippies made in Solingen. Eugene Krabs says, and I always say this, but I really like your icon there. Any thoughts on the new coffin Barlow from Boker? Magna cut at 6364, made in Germany, $125. Seems like a good deal. All right. Well, just I do like the coffin shape. I mentioned that before while talking about the auxiliary manufacturing knife. I love the coffin shaped handle. Coffin shaped Barlow, very much like the well, talk about this in a second, but very much like the new After Hours jack or the Midnight jack. So this is a Barlow here. That's a coffin shaped handle. So I'm all for it. Magna Cut 6364. That's where that's its premium, or that's its optimal heat treat right there. So if they indeed do that, then it sounds good. And we know that Boker, especially the German made Bokers, are very, very good. So um try it out. Let us know. For $125, that sounds pretty good. Doug, good to have you here. Doug Bowl with us. Hi, Bob. What all the different folders, locking mechanisms? The lock back is always my favorite. You know what? Unfortunately, I didn't grab a bunch of different locks. I do have some. I gotta say, okay, so if I had grabbed, I have a couple of others that I would show, but let me show you one of the locks I've been liking the most recently is also a lock that's very much in vogue. Let me put this away. And that is the button lock. Here, let me get a good example of the button lock. Oh, here. Okay, so here's the CJRB. So this is the CJRB Pyrite. This is the large Pyrite. And it's got this one in particular has a very good button lock, very strong, very sturdy button lock. No play, also no stick when you unlock a CJRB button lock. And I believe it's because they they actually machine out and pocket out a very crisp pocket into which the plunge lock plunges. Let me see if I can get that to focus. You can see it right there. Yeah, and so when the lock goes in there, it's it's totally solid. There's no room for wiggle, and it has nothing to do with how hard you slam that lock in there. Some other button locks, say from Civivi, they have a little cone-shaped divot, and the plunger plunges into that cone shot shape, and then the idea is ever deeper as it wears in, but you end up with some stick. This one is great, the Sentinel Strike, but sometimes you end up with stick. So if you wanted to experiment with a different lock, I would say check out a button lock. Lots of companies are doing button locks right now. They're competitive about it. Some companies have early on got into trouble because their locks were failing, so they're kind of going extra they're going extra hard at making the lockup good on button locks. I would try those out. Also, back locks are very secure. If you're very, very interested in super security, just try a frame lock, whether it's steel or this one is titanium. But a frame lock, that frame is interrupting the path of the blade tang there. And when you squeeze on it, that adds strength to that lock. So if you're using this and first of all, you're going against the lock and you're also squeezing the lock bar in, it's not going to fold on you. It adds extra strength. So if real extra strength is an issue, check one of these out, or check out a DeMarco shark lock. And there are options for that now. Whether you get a DeMarco knife, or you could also get that who makes that? Not Revo, but that other knife company that's making them making using the shark lock. You're all yelling at your screen telling me what it is. But lots of great locks out there. Check them out. If you love the back lock and that's what you want to stick with, get yourself an Axis lock from Cold Steel. Not Axis, I'm sorry. Get yourself a Triad lock from Cold Steel, which is any of the back locks for the last bunch of years. And that is the strongest lock in the business, basically. And it's a back lock, which is something you're used to. So definitely check that out. Blade Ogre says the GEC fixie in Daybreak Camo is a great little fixie with a very nice leather sheath at a great price. From where you first recommended GECs, at least for me, a few years back. TKC, the what is that? All right, a knife connection. The knife connection. Byron Kennedy says today is a Hogtooth Knives Nova 1. I love hearing that. The Tucson TS 175. Kudos, Bob, and this old sword. That thing is cool, is it not? Byron Kennedy just won this in last month's Gentleman Junkie giveaway. I'll show you what we're going to give away next month. The off-grid all-day necker and the new Case chestnut bone trapper. That's why I love Case so much. I know people poo-poo Case and the heat treat and this and that. I know. But they're so beautiful. Oh, but sometimes the blades, well, I know, but the bone, they do their covers, the way they dye I could just stare at them, and I can't really afford too many GECs all the time. So Case it is. GEC does a great job with their bone also, but no one does it like Case. So I could see why people like to collect their stuff. Pete Davidson, good to have you here, sir. G'day, junkies. Just installed some carbon fiber scales with gun stock checkering on my K390 Police. It's great. The Talware CTS XHP and the Viper MAGA in my pockets. We're very jealous. Very nice. This beauty. God, look at this thing. Speaking of amazing, listen. Yeah, speaking of amazing button locks, this one is tremendous. This is going to be our January 2024. I'm sorry, did I say January? I meant December 2023. This month, the last month of the year, this is going to be our Gentleman Junkie giveaway knife. This comes to us compliments of Northern Knives. Look at this beauty. This is the reverse Tonto version of the ProTech Malibu with box and all the stuff, brand new from our friends up at Northern Knives in Anchorage, Alaska. Sent this down to me, and man, this thing is beautiful. I have to pretty much box it up when I'm done showing it off here, because this is one of those knives that can be really hard to push out the door, I gotta say. Hero Stick says, Bob, I'm putting a fresh, oh yes, Hero sends me these amazing boxes with all cool knives to check out. He says, Bob, I'm putting a fresh box for you. We'll be sending it along soon. Got a few pieces for you to check out. I'll include the Taylor's Eyewitness, thank you, and the LUDT. Boom, thank you. Oh, that is cool. That LUDT is the light, was it underwater demolition team knife from Microtech out the side. Such a cool, beautiful knife. Well, That was in the box that Hero Sticks sent me last time, and I boxed it up finally because I'm like, oh, give me 2 weeks with your knives, and I keep them for like 3 months, and I'm shipping it back to him. I'm like, I'm so sorry. He's like, well, that's okay. Keep the LUDT, and I was like, it's already in the mail. And he said, next time I'll send it to you, and he remembered. So that's cool. I will have an LUDT, and I will show you all, and I will mention Hero Sticks every time it opens up. Five Door says GEC. Start again. GEC steak knife is outstanding and purpose built. 4-inch thin blade, muslin micarta handle. Love that. And takes a great edge. Sounds beautiful. And I bet when it hits that hot red meat, it turns a beautiful blue and patinas ever so beautifully. Doug says, what do you think of the SOG knives made in Seki City, Japan? I say they're awesome. I have one, and it was my first folding tactical knife, and I got it in Boston when you could have a knife store in Boston. Yeah, that was probably before you were born. 1991, summer of 1991, and I carried it around. It was the Tomcat, I think. Very cool. It had that beautiful recurve Bowie blade that you see on the SOG, on the classic SOG Bowie. And that was made in Seki City. Anything made in Seki City is going to be pretty good. And if you like the design, go for it. Go for it. It'll be good. It's kind of like getting something from Taiwan these days. Like Taiwan OEMs they just nail it. The best, if you ask me, and a lot of people, the best Spydercos are the Taiwanese made Spydercos. Justin says, Taylor's Eyewitness are cool. They had me at Divine Eye of Providence Maker's Mark. I have one in Ramshorn, and it's one of my favorite traditionals I own. Let me ask you, Justin. I'm not exactly sure about the Divine Eye of Providence. That's in their Maker's Mark. What is the Divine Eye of Providence? Is that like the eye at the top of the pyramid on our dollar, or is that some Illuminati shit? That's probably some evil stuff. Northern Knives, speak of the devil. Sprich von der Teufel. I was just showing the ProTech and talking about how that is going to be our final Gentleman Junkie giveaway knife of the year. Hey, Bob, Jim, and Junkies, just got here, running a little late. Well, Northern Knives, hope everything is going swimmingly for you up in Anchorage. Honey Bear 85, nice to see you here, Honey Bear. Howdy, Bob, Jim, Junkies, all carried the Steingraber Performance Knives Shark and a Triangle Tool SAK Swiss Army knife today. The SPK Shark, love that knife. I have it in Crewwear. That's the only Crewwear I own. And I'm unfamiliar. Pardon me. I'm unfamiliar with that Swiss Army knife style knife you were just talking about. My God, I'm just so full of belches tonight. Sorry, guys. Northern Knife says, carried a ProTech Mordax in Magna Cut today. A half-face blades. Damn. Half-face blades, Gen 2 Crow folder. Oh, the folder. So, okay, this is new. And a Bastinelli Ice Cream ice pick and a tactile turn zirconium side. Very nice. The half-face blades are very cool. I like them. I like those. And they have very cool, they have a Navy SEAL cred too. I think, wasn't he Navy SEAL, Mr. Half-Face Blades? That always kind of adds some mystique, because not only because of how they've trained and, what their former career is, but also, that people who spend time and who achieve that goal, becoming a Navy SEAL, and they spend time in the teams and doing all that stuff, that they are so method oriented. They are so so they're not going to make your knife by feelings. Oh, I bet this is the soul of this blade is really sharp. No, they're going to make you a real, actual, awesome knife. And something about that discipline carries over. You know how many people I've interviewed on the Knife Junkie podcast who are Marines? A lot of them, a lot. And I find that very interesting. Anyway, Grumpy Grunt. Good to have you here, Grumpy Grunt. Speaking of which, hello, Bob and everyone. Speaking of the highly trained, uh, just stopping by to say hi and thumbs up. Everyone remember to thumbs up. Thank you, Grumpy Grunt. I appreciate that. And since you're just stopping by and doing me a solid, let me show you something cool you might appreciate on your way through. This is the Randall #2 Combat Stiletto, and I don't know, many a grunt maybe have carried these, but I know Randall's were real big in the big one in the Second World War, but continue to be a favorite among a lot of men and women in service. But let's be honest, men, right? So beautiful, beautiful knife, convex blade, and convex ground. Great knife. So thank you for stopping by, Grumpy Grunt. Dion Page, nice to have you here, Dion. Hello, King Junkie, Jim, and all you junkies. I made it. Good to see y'all again. Well, good to see you, man. We're just here talking knives, and I'm trying to get someone to get me excited about modern folders again. I know the excitement hasn't really gone away, but other things are kind of attracting my eye. 3, nice to have you here. 3, one of my favorite and most stable numbers. What do you think about the handle on the cold steel taipan? The shape doesn't look like it's designed for retention. Okay, I actually, okay, I have mixed feelings about it. It's very similar to the Tonto, the classic cold steel Tonto, the master Tonto, and the like. Retention is fine. First of all, it's craton, so it's kind of a rubbery grip. It's knurled, so it's got surface texture. It's oval, but it's flat on the top and bottom, so it's like it's not turning in your hand. It's got a great grip and great for retention. What I don't like about it is that with a dagger, I want to do this. I want to hold it in reverse grip oftentimes. Now I have very little doubt that the guard that they have on the taipan, sorry, mine is in my drawer, and the shape of the handle and the craton and everything I just mentioned is going to keep it in my hand, and I'm not going to slide onto the blade, most likely. But I just feel better when I can have my thumb on top of the handle, and you just can't do that on the taipan because it's a long handle and it comes to a peak. For pain compliance or skull crushing or whatever the peak is for, it's not comfortable for capping with the thumb. So for me, I'm not so crazy about that knife in reverse grip. Not that not that I've been in knife fights with it, not that I've gone into combat with it, but just when I'm noodling around and doing my kind of testing, um, I much prefer a fixed blade that has something I can put my thumb on like that than a something that's pointed and uncomfortable. So there's my long answer to your short question. Northern Knives chatting at you from the cigar lounge tonight. All right. So first of all, I love that. We have a cigar where I get my cigars. They have a lounge and then they have a room in the back, where guys can watch sports and such. It's really nice. I think I need to get a pipe. I think I need to get a pipe because I frequently want to have like a little smoke, but I don't want to like light up a cigar and all of that. And I think with a pipe, you can just kind of and get some of that and be done with it. So I'm thinking a pipe. I'm thinking a pipe. I met a lot of young dudes in Texas who smoked pipes, and I was like, okay, so if I got a pipe, I'm not an old fart. I'm not the old guy because my dad used to smoke a pipe, and not that my dad's an old fart. He's in his 80s and he's still kicking ass. But what I mean is, I always associated it with a different generation. But I'm 52, man. I am the generation now. I'm like the Ward Cleaver generation at this point. I'm Ozzy and Harriet, so I think I can start smoking a pipe. Craig Vincent says, I need a knife recommendation. I want a gift to gift a knife to a young man who will be leaving in January to serve in the Army. Hmm. What reasonably priced? How about this? And you can get these very reasonably priced, or if you want to spend a lot of money and get it in a high-end steel, you can do that too. But the cold steel SRK is a great all-around knife, and I know a lot of military people use that knife, and I know it has been issued from time to time. But the SRK is great, and you can get it in SK5. That's what I have it in, which is kind of a cheap carbon steel. But Cold Steel has mastered heat treat on all of their steels, and SK5, they've been making knives in SK5 for years and years and years. So they've got that down, and it comes in a really pretty thick and robust traction coating. And if he's going anywhere that's arid, he doesn't have to really worry about the moisture or anything like that. So I would get him an SR. I would consider an SRK from Cold Steel. They also have the mini SRK if you want to get him something smaller, also by Cold Steel. Or a third option is you might think about getting a DeMarco Armiger series. They're 4.5-inch blades. Mine is upstairs by the bed, but they come in drop point. That's kind of double edged. It's a little more tactical. Tanto and clip point. And in the drop point and Tanto, they can come fully serrated. Not so on the clip point. But there again, you will have 80 CRV, which is a great and tough and serviceable steel, designed and created by also the guy who made the SRK, Andrew Demko, and it's inexpensive, about twice the price of the inexpensive SRK. But I think either one of those, I would go fixed blade, and I think either one of those is going to serve really well, and they're very well considered and made by great companies. And the SRK is just tried and true for 30 years at this point, so can't go wrong with an SRK. 5-door. Since we're getting old, got a C. Reisner Indian head Stockman from Northern Knives. What do you know? From the 90s, and they call it vintage. Oh, yeah, I know. It's like when I turn on a classic rock, I still expect to hear Zeppelin and Boston and Cream, and instead I'm hearing Linkin Park and Nirvana, and I'm like, what are you talking about? These are the new kids. What? Anyway, yeah, yep, yep. Still wearing the same stuff too. Cold Steel Collector 808. I know I'm biased, but oh well. I love Cold Steel. Well, what do you think? Do you think my suggestion for an SRK to bring on deployment is good? The other thing about the SRK and it being inexpensive but also great is that from what I've heard from friends and my brother-in-law and others, lots of shit gets stolen, and you don't want something super special getting stolen. It will already be special because you're giving it to him, but if it's too expensive and too tempting, it might just get nicked, and that would suck. Pete Davidson says, "Tarted up a Delica Warncliffe K390, titanium scales, screws, Wiseman signet ring, and fang opener." I'm assuming that the fang opener is like a pocket deployer, like a wave. Me likey. I like how you said "tarted it up" because you know that's your part. That's how you speak, and I like it. Tarted. It's like, yes, I get it. I like it. EDC says, "Love my two in African Blackwood." Two. What is two? What is two? CM, follow knife whores, a fellow knife whores. Sorry. CM, good to have you here. CM, it reminds me of a Continue Mission CM FTW. He was awesome. But CM, I assume you're awesome too, and it's good to have you here, man. Have a Knife Day says, don't forget the paratroopers. I'm not forgetting the paratroopers. You guys are total badasses. Yeah, I know we talk about the SEALs because they get, they write the books and stuff, but paratroopers are, yeah, I've met you too, man. You're, yeah. Grumpy Grunt says that Randall is much nicer than the K-bars and Gerber stiletto I carried as a Marine. Oh, but you carried the Gerber, the Mark II? Is that what you had? The Mark II with the wasp wasted dagger with the serrations. Cold steel collector taipan handle, very secure if you know what you're doing. Yep, yep. Nutcracker pommel, says Grumpy Grunt. Yeah, that's right. Dion Page, I smoke a pipe and have for years. Well, Dion, I'm not surprised. You're you've got stilo to burn, I think. Speaking of which, Macho Blades, how you doing, Macho? What's up, Bob and Junkies? Good to have you here, Macho. Another guy with style to burn, Macho, working on those. He's been working on some really cool single ring neck knives. Really like those. Have a Knife Day says, have him check if he is able to have the knife in basic training. Oh, okay. All right. Have him check if he's allowed or able to have the knife in basic training. If anything, give it to him as a graduation present. That's good thinking. And thinking that only someone who's been there could render. So yeah, that's actually a great idea, because I'm sure whatever they get in basic training, they probably, well, I don't know. I'm speaking out of school, but I'm guessing you use that for basic training. But when you're done with basic training, you get issued all your actual stuff. Uh, so yeah, that's a good point. Mr. VC256 says modern folders. I think we're at a point where the function often follows form. Yeah, I agree. Which I'm not sad about because I love form. I love crazy. We've been making them for 40,000 years at this point. Maybe we can focus on form a little more. I love crazy design, but often you bring a knife to play and a knife to cut. But I guess that's everywhere. That is the point. That is funny that you say that. Because especially in this hobby, where it can be feast or famine. For me, it is. Uh, and when you have an influx of knives, it's like I want to experience them all. I don't want to just go off for my day just with one. I've got like 5 new knives here. How am I going to give them all? So then you end up packing them all, and then you're using them, and or you're not using them. You just have them about you, like you're collecting crystal goddamn penguins. At least you can do something with these, but yeah, just the endless acquisition. Something's got to give. I think I sense a knife sale coming. Yeah, right. I've been saying that for 5 years. Byron Kennedy says PSA Beyond EDC site has sale through December on almost all models, including their current Terra Mundi models. So when you were talking about, or when Chris was talking about the River Wolf, that's a Terra Mundi. High-end stuff. Some guy called Crazy Sharp had a really good coupon too. So check out Mike Emler's Crazy Sharp. He's got a coupon over there at Beyond EDC. And if you know anything about Beyond EDC, a lot of their knives designed by Dirk Pinkerton. Actually, while I was at Blade Show 2023 just in June, I had dinner with Dirk Pinkerton and David not David Cam, David Sun from Beyond EDC, and they're both really nice guys and fun to talk to hear all this insider info, inside baseball about the knife industry. It was so cool, and hearing about production schedules and his prototypes and just kind of letting them volley back and forth and just listening to all that. It was awesome. Doug says, Bob, 73 here, and Bon Jovi is still a favorite. Right on. 73. No. That's British for fuck off. Sorry. I meant right on. 73. Yeah. When I'm 73, I'm still going to be, here's my philosophy. Whenever it is that I have to carry a cane, I'm going to carry a sword cane, and I'm going to be able to fight with that mofo, even without the cane deployed, without the sword deployed. Like, yes, age is a number. Eventually, age is more than a number. But I believe there's a long period of time where most people have already given in to Father Time. Father Time always wins, but you don't have to. You don't have to. Someone just said that in the news, but I'm not copying them. You don't have to wait for that. You don't have to become feeble. You can be 73 and still rocking out to Bon Jovi. So that's what I plan on doing. Pete Davidson says, I know I'm old. All my clothes that were loose and trendy in the 90s are now are now tight and trendy today. That's right. They say fashion is in a 30-year cycle, I believe. Yeah, 20-year cycle. So in the 90s, things like bootcut jeans from the 70s came back, and the like. I never changed after the 90s. That was it. That was it. Well, you keep up your whole life, then you end up looking like an idiot. Then you're the 70-year-old guy with skinny jeans, and you don't want to be that guy who's like, yeah, I used to be a rocker. I'm still a rocker. Mark Ridgewell, what's up, sir? What's up, everyone? He says, what's up with you? CM says he won't be able to have anything at basic. Oh, I got you. Not even Oakley Shades, which I thought I might be able to before I joined, but no. Recruiting will say they give you everything you need. That sucks. That sucks. Especially if they take it, or who knows? Maybe they save it away for you. Fernando Salome, nice to have you here. I'm here late. Hello, everyone. Well, hello to you, sir, man. Good to have you. CM, you arrive with a backpack, and that gets locked up until family day, and you get your phone released every now and then, but rarely. So, CM, what branch did you serve in? Or do you serve in currently? Pete Davidson says, the thing that I like about modern folders is that they make the older stuff less desirable and more available to the rest of us. All right. I've just been blabbing. Let me show you some cool stuff. So we were talking about modern folders and traditional folders. So let's talk about the Jack Wolf knives first. This is the new one from Jack Wolf Knives, and this is the one that I think most people have been hoping for. This is the Midnight Jack given sharpshooter treatment. There's the sharpshooter Jack. It's the I'm trying to remember. No, wait. Anyway, okay, so let's get to this one right here. This is the Midnight Jack turned into a bolster lock front flipper. Now, the Midnight Jack was one of the most popular and all-time loved Jack Wolf Knives releases. This is, I think, the 4th or 5th release by Jack Wolf Knives. This beautiful sheep's foot blade, so thin, so sharp, so nice to look at. It looks like an Art Deco locomotive to me. That blade is just beautiful. And then you have this long 1/3 of the handle bolster, Barlow bolster, 3 flutes. Just a great knife. People went bonkers over that thing, and finally he's come around, and boom, he's made this version of it. And it is great. It's a front flipper. I actually like the fuller deployment the best on this, but you have that same really thinly ground blade. I got the DLC titanium version. That's S90V blade steel, DLC coated, and then this gorgeous titanium frame lock. Just a beautiful thing. Just a beautiful thing. And everything that Ben Belkin and Jack Wolf Knives makes is beautiful. Really, just beautiful stuff. But I got to say, this smooth titanium just takes the cake. A lot of great carbon fibers and such. Whoops. But to me, the understated beauty of this all black razor-like knife is just it's so beautiful. So anyway, I've used the word beautiful a bunch of times here, but Ben is a very impressive designer, and he can do both things. Like he has kept me like this is exciting to me, um, and that's probably because I'm in such a traditional phase that to see this, yes, this makes me excited about modern folders for sure. Not that I've lost my taste for my Emersons and my Hinderers and all that stuff. I still love all that stuff, but I, I don't feel that drive to keep getting them like I do slip joints right now. All right, so there's that. Hero Stick says a few folders that have me excited: the Golden Design Works Caliber, the New Breed EDC Clydesdale. That's a cool one. The Winter Blade Severn is also a very cool one. Caviso Kirby Lambert Rain. Mm, and the Les George Squatch EDC. I got to check out what that is because I love Les George and I think Sasquatches are fascinating as a topic. Gareth says, have you guys checked out the Aries EDC knives that he's made? No, I have not. Aries. That sounds promising. Also, the Kaiser Dogfish and Doberman. The Doberman's a very nice looking one. I do like that. Craig Vincent, it's not the age that does you in, it's the mileage. Well, that's for sure. That's for sure. CM, I was U.S. Army infantry. Thank you for your service, CM. And also thank you for that really good advice that you could give to the young man going into basic training. CM, my basic was good old Fort Benning, Georgia, combined basic called OSUT, one station unit training, basic plus AIT in one. So Fort Benning, Georgia, lots of anything weird happen in those woods to you, sir? Just curious. Uh, I hear of a lot of weird things happening on military bases because they're so vast and so unpopulated. Nomadic Adventures, I hope to make it to 73. You will. You will, man. I know you will. I have faith. Nomadic Adventures, you will make it to at least 75. I'm saying it right here. Mark me. Hero Stick says one factor that has shifted my focus away from modern folders is the availability of killer custom fixie designs at really compelling price points. Me too. Me too. I mean, my custom fixie drawer is just burgeoning, and my folders are languishing, and that's fine. I don't. That's fine. It's fine. I have plenty of folders, and I would love to, I have plenty of folders. I haven't carried much, so assuming I don't get rid of any and I just start carrying the ones I have, I still have a lot of novelty left in them. Northern Knives, the biggest benefit to modern folders for me is the trickle down of high tolerance machining. Yes, movement that used to be reserved for big money is reasonably attainable to most of us now. Yes, that is like the fashion industry. When I used to work in the fashion industry, it's one thing I noticed. I went into it like, oh, what are these people wearing? They're never going to sell that. Who wears that shit? But that's not the point. The point is the puffy sleeve. The point is the royal blue. The point is the peaked lapel or whatever it is that trickles down through the culture. And next year, everything's got a peak lapel with that royal blue. It might be in this cut that I got at LL Bean or at Old Navy, but the point is, like, some high-end haute couture designer, like your Todd Begg or whatever of the fashion world, has designed something abstract, and the pieces of that abstraction make its way into everyday clothes. And I think that's fascinating. It's kind of what you're saying. Doug says, Bob, not to offend, but I could never understand splitting wood with a high quality knife. Well, Doug, when you got to split as much wood as I got to split out here in the suburbs, you'll know what it's like. No, I know. It's silly. I think when you really actually have a lot of wood to split, you use an axe, unless you're out in the woods and you're camping and you're surviving or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to bring one tool and this is going to do everything, which I could see myself doing. But for family fire pit night, I just use one of these overbuilt survival knives just to give them a little mileage. Someday I will pass on, be shown across to the great pearly abyss, or whatever we want to call it, and those knives will outlive me, and hopefully it's not a hellscape here and people are in need of knives to survive. But if it is, someone will come across my knife collection and be like, holy crap, we're surviving now. And they'll take those knives and they'll use them to their full capability. But me, I thank the Lord our God that I do not have that opportunity right now. So for now, I'll use my $400 3V Jimmy Slash chopper to chop some wood for the family fire pit. Have a Knife Day says, I was at Benning in 88, Echo 150th with Charlie Company for Airborne School. All that sounds so cool. All right. To me, civilian ears, all of that sounds really cool. CM says, no, but shitting in the woods at FTX field training exercise was awesome. Haha. Dug a hole with my ET tool next to a log as my seat. Well, in moments like that, and we've all shit outdoors, moments like that, you're really connected. Am I right? You're connected. Byron says, for all the veterans here, thanks. As to the many changes of many U.S. military bases, camps, post force, and stations, including Benning, to quote Colonel William Potter, horse apples. Well, I'm not sure about that, but I will echo Byron's comment of thanks. Thank you, one and all, who've served, and really in our culture, in our day and age, all of you who have served have done it voluntarily, and in doing so have voluntarily taken on the burden of putting your life on the line for my family. So I know that I appreciate it. Thank you. To echo the great and powerful Byron Kennedy. CM says, Bob, thanks to you, I heard about auxiliary manufacturing and the Carl. I still need to get one. I do too. I want a Carl Jr. too. I like the name Carl Jr. because I know that's a fast food restaurant out on the West Coast. My basic was Echo 258 Knife Day. What? I don't know what that means. Explain that, please, CM. James Moore, nice to have you here, sir. I just remembered Thursday Night Knives in mourning for the Steelers game tonight and got distracted. Need any input on modern folders? Yeah, James, I'm trying to. I'm so down the fixed blade and slip joint rabbit hole. I'm trying to get like psyched about all these expensive fixed folders I have. And do I want more? Doug says, Bob, if a person wants to live a long life, stay out of the hospital. Yeah, no doubt about that. A lot of that is attitude. A lot of that is good genetics and being healthy and keeping yourself healthy. But I feel like I've watched in my life, I've watched people who have definitely through no fault of their own, have gotten in a cycle of like adding more and more and more medications to their daily regime until it's like, oh my God, like you've got a whole like bunch of stuff you got to take. And at some point, you got to wonder if it's gone too far. And like with my father-in-law, may he rest in peace, at one point, I think that my wife and my brother-in-law did an audit, and they're like, you got too much stuff going on here. And they got rid of some stuff, and things were better for him. I mean, they didn't get rid of it. They worked with the doctor and, that kind of thing. Pete Davidson says, another good thing about modern folders is you can get D2, S30 V steel, and the like for sub $100 knife, and it's readily available. You're right about that. Let me show you this. I mean, I remember when D2 was super steel. It was like, now in D2. Okay, I got a couple of other cool new knives I want to show you. I showed you the Jack Wolf knives After Hour Jack in S90V, that beautiful swedge. Just such a great combination of modern folder and classic slip joint design. Like I said, I like to use the fuller to open it, but it's got a front flipper that you can use in the many different ways you can front flip. So I really am digging this. Yesterday, this was a front right pocket. Today, this was back left pocket. Fits great right next to my bandana, the back left pocket. A little dicey to have a knife this expensive in my back left pocket, or this precious, I guess I should say. So I probably won't be doing that again, but it felt kind of exciting. Life on the wild side. Um, Another knife I got this week that I'm digging is the French broad jack from Rosecraft Blades. Finally got this. I know Chris Blade Ogre was just talking about this. He was carrying this. A great knife. That's a D2 steel Wharncliffe blade. Beautiful with the swedge and the standard nail neck. But it's that candy apple bone that is just intoxicating. It's just beautiful to look at. I've already dropped it on the parking lot floor, so that bolster's a little marred. That's fine. I don't care. This is not living in a slip. Or if it goes in a slip, it's not to protect it. It's just to keep it in line. But I just love these bone covers. They are beautiful. Great fit and finish on this. Really nice. I'd say 7.5 to 8 pull on this. Very nice taut spring on this. I just love it. It reminds me a lot of my 38, my GEC 38 super special, 38 special, and also of the Queen Wharncliffe knife. It's got that same shape handle with the blade coming out of the same side, and great. But I got 2 other Rosecraft knives, and I'll show you the second one, which I like very much. This is a little drop in the pocket, $15 or $20. I can't remember how much this is. It's called the Awanata. Awanata. I put a little fob on there, and this thing has great action. Super stiff little slip joint with G10 only. That's contoured G10. Very nice. Way more substantial than I expected. I thought it was going to feel like a bug out or something, real too light and you could squeeze it. No, you cannot squeeze, bend this. It's very stout and it has very stout spring. Here, let me do this in front of the mic. See if this translates. But very nice. If you don't have any Rosecraft knives, or if you do, or if you just want a little keychain or drop in the pocket slip joint, this thing is awesome. I think it's maybe 1 3/4 inches blade length. That's D2. A little fuller, acts as the nail neck. It's great. I love it, and cheap as the day is long too. So if you need a little fix or just need a little knife, this is a great one. But of the 3 Rosecraft blades I got, this one takes the cake. And I almost didn't get it because I've always thought it was ugly. But what a great knife this is. What a great design. This is the let me remember the name, Okosi River Kayak. I put this little leather fob on there. This is the kayak. A take on the canoe. You can see it's a canoe style handle, but it's got this downward angled, very like for a slip joint, severely downward angled sheep's foot here. And oh man, this thing is awesome. Again, you get this beautiful red bone with the rosebud shield. Nickel silver bolster, this one with a single flute. A full height, flat ground D2 blade here. And with that downward angle, it's just a cutter. It's just a born cutter all day long, cutting stuff without any effort due to that awesome angle. So very, very thrilled about Rosecraft. I saw that They just came out with another run of their Barlow knife that has the sheep's foot on it. I was like, oh, I should get that. I should get that. But I just don't like the blade. So I'm not going to get it. I'm going to wait for that, the jackknife with the clip point. That thing is awesome. Hero Sticks. Bob, also curious if you have a favorite folder, fixie, slip joint, and other for 2023. Oh, okay. So let's see. Folder. I'm just going to go right off the top of my head. Favorite folder of 2023 so far has been the Kaiser Mystic, designed by Paul Munko and Rex 45. I absolutely love this knife. Keep coming back to it. Love everything about it. Definitely. Fixie. I don't have the Fixie with me, but I would say the Puzon Predator Hunter Bowie. Love that. But since that's not here, I'm also loving the Civivi Tamashi E, which I think was released in 2023, early 2023. But I'll stick by the Puzon Predator Hunter as my favorite. Now, slip joint, I would. Oh, that's a hard one. A lot of great slip joints came out this year. Maybe we'll call it this, the Hedgehog Titanium. I don't know, but all of the Jack Wolves I've loved. So I don't know if I can just do that right off the top of my head, but that's basically where I'm landing with most of that stuff. How about you, Hero? Do you have a favorite folder, fixie, and slip joint? Let me know. Doug says, Bob, do you know where a quality straight edge razor? My son is turning 46. Dovo makes a good straight razor that I know is within reach monetarily. DOVO. I did some research into straight razors because I wanted to get into straight razor shaving, because when I was a kid, in the 80s, GQ magazine made it seem like you weren't a real gentleman if you didn't shave with a straight razor. So I always thought that was the ideal. And I looked into it. Dovo is a good one. And then there are DOVO. And then there are others, and now I'm forgetting who they are. The Germans make a lot of good ones. Obviously, you want something super thin and super light. And if you're looking custom, that's where you have to be careful. I've seen a lot of cool custom straight razors that would make good props in like a Sweeney Todd play or something where someone's murdering people with straight razors, but maybe not necessarily the best shavers. Pete Davidson says, how do those new Jack Wolf knives compare to a premium vintage knife? I have a Sword brand folder from the 60s that is flawless in fit and finish and will hold its own against my more modern knives. Okay, Pete. So with the Jack Wolf knife, you're getting incredible modern tolerances, kind of like you get with all of the modern locking folders. Like think of Chris Reeve and think of the tolerances there. So you get that here. Another thing you get, which is interesting, it's kind of like the chess master phenomenon, where a chess master today who's 12 years old has the benefit of all of the games that came before him or her. And so can the chess master today can be way more talented earlier than the chess master of yesteryear, and so on into the future. It's kind of the same thing with knife making and knife designing. And Ben Belkin, who designs the Jack Wolf knives and whose company this is, has an extensive collection of custom slip joint knives and high-end production slip joint knives, and has spent many years poring over them and kind of deciding what to him is the makes a premium slip joint knife. So he is like the young chess master who has studied all the games that have come before him and can create new versions of an old game. And that's what this is. And here's something, if we're going to get in the weeds, which why not? One thing that I really have to say about Jack Wolf knives that you don't see in most modern folders is that he does it the old-fashioned way, where the knife kick, that's this part here, this part of the ricasso, is what stops the blade on the backspring from continuing down. That is an old school way of doing it. That is the original slip joint way of doing it. When you look at this modern slip joint, and you look down into the blade well here, let me see if I can get it in focus and get it to, if you look right at the tip of the blade, you'll see there is a stop pin in there. Just like in a modern folder, you see a stop pin, and that stop pin corresponds with the sharpening choil. And when you close this, that stop pin mates up with the sharpening choil and stops the blade from moving any further into the blade well, negating any chances of blade wrap. So the way that Ben Belkin designs a slip joint is the old school way, where you're designing and measuring the kick of the blade, this part right down here, and measuring that to be adequate in size to when it comes slamming back in. It's just enough that the tip is hidden in the handle, but it doesn't keep going and doesn't slap. So I have an appreciation for both. Obviously the stop pin is more of a fail-safe method of doing it, but the stop pin is a more the stop pin is a more fail-safe way of doing it. But mastering the kick of the blade and all of that is kind of the classic art. James Moore says, response to Hero Sticks, favorite modern folder of the year is my latest Gunstock from Mitch Clark, polished nickels armor core Damascus rose gold carbo tie Zerk bolsters spacers clip hidden hardware. Yeah, you talked about this last week. I don't think I know him. I only know Jason Clark in terms of custom knife makers. So that one I got to check out. Byron Kennedy, Hero Sticks, got to be the Nova 1. Yes. Or his T-Kel Fixie, right? Well, we haven't seen that yet. So the HM and the Puzon Predator Hunter. Yeah, that is ridiculous. Now, I don't know if you've been following Work Tough Gear, but they got a bunch of other cool stuff that just came out. Their version of the V44 Bowie. Oh my God, that's so cool. James Moore, custom builds to order, make modern folders your own. This is true. Highly recommend pursuing one from your favorite maker. Be patient. Yeah, be patient. And also, this is a save up. This is a save up situation because, I mean, often, and I'm definitely grouping myself in this, but oftentimes we just need a fix. We need something immediate. We just order something. And then over time, we end up spending more money on more stuff that we don't want, as opposed to having some discipline. Discipline equals freedom, like Jocko says, and you have discipline with your money and you hold back, and then eventually you have enough shekels saved for that custom knife that you want, and you can finally get it, and you don't have 50 million other cheaper knives that you have to worry about trying to sell. Craig Vincent, other than a few historic exceptions, it seems like innovation in knife design stayed pretty static from the 60s to the 90s, but lately it has accelerated to an explosion in materials and lock design. I'd say that's pretty accurate, Craig. And I think that a lot of it has to do with low barrier to entry. A lot of different people can be designing knives right now. Bob, rocking the mountain man look. That's right. That's right. At least my gray is evening out. Yeah. Mountain man look. That's funny because my wife says that when I grow my beard, she says, my mountain husband Lars is coming. My winter husband Lars is coming back. So that's right. You hear the call of the wind? That's me. Hero Stick says, chasing a Mystic and a Militar on the secondary. The Mystic you will be so psyched about. I like his new design too. It's pretty cool looking. James Moore says, personal favorite modern folder makers from my collection: Sinkovich, David Lespec, Des Horn, Mitch Clark. New to me, Jean-Pierre Martin and Sergei Shirogorov may have to be in the Hall of Fame. So for me, Dmitry Sinkovich, everything he does, every little thing he does is magic. And David Lespec is, yeah. I gotta say, I met David Lespec in an elevator with a bunch of other French knife makers, and I was like, "You men are also handsome, and you all make such fantastic knives, and you probably had a great lunch. Like, why do we not do this in the United States?" His knives, man, God. And they're like, "Look at this awkward American." No, I'm just kidding. They were very nice. Hero Stick says, folder, Christensen Knife Works, Maverick. Yes, yes. Fixie, Calady Knives, custom bird and trout in Sissel micarta. That sounds cool. Yeah, Hero Sticks is a maven. We have a lot of mavens here. Look up the word maven. It sounds like feminine, but it's not. A maven is just someone who discovers the new stuff and kind of filters it out into the people around them. And I've always relied on mavens for music suggestion. Music mavens are big. Like I have a couple of friends who, without them, I'd have no musical taste of my own, basically. And yeah, mavens are important, and Hero is one of them for sure. A knife maven, anyway. His taste in music is awful. Just ask his significant other. I'm just kidding, Hero. I have no idea, but I do know you're a maven with knives. Only picked up a few Swiss Army knife classics for Slippy this year. Need to pick up my game and find a bag of money. Don't we all? Oh God, I even went down a Swiss Army knife rabbit hole the other day. I was ready to buy every freaking Swiss Army knife, and I'm like, just stop. You're so suggestible, Bob. You just watch a video of someone like, "Oh, it's so fun to open and close," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's fun to open and close, man. I need to get one of." God, my brother used to say, because I used to sing commercial ditties, and he'd say, "Oh, you're a Madison Avenue wet dream." And I was like, what does that mean? James Moore says, CNC has really transformed the modern folder. No doubt. For their price, the Riot made Sharp Eye design knives based on Brian's detailed CNC files are tough to beat. Riot, tough to beat, and Brian Nadeau, tough to beat in terms of designer / maker who can program the living hell out of a CNC machine. Hero Sticks favorite budget folder is the Civivi Cubit. Very surprised how much I enjoyed it. A lot of people said that. All my faves are coming your way to check out, Bob. Thank you. I can't wait. This is my version of the Cubit. The Cubit to me is just too small, too cute. But this came out from them also around the same time, the Sentinel Strike, and it's basically my version of the Cubit. So this is my Civivi of the year. I love this thing. Craig Vincent says, I bought the second vintage, nice, Cold Steel Twistmaster this week. Awesome knife, like a tactical Opinel on steroids. This one is still new in box, so now I can store one and start carrying the other. Yay me. That's awesome, man. For years I've wanted one. What blade shape? They used to have a clip point, and they had a leaf-shaped one that looked like a barong. I always loved that one. James Moore says, Hero Sticks, my favorite budget folder is still the Civivi Backlash. That's a great one. Great handle design, super slicey blade. Yeah. And you can get a Backlash now without the cheesy gold liners. You remember when Civivi first came out, it was the Backlash, the Praxis, and I think they had one other. And, oh, man, they were so tacky looking with their anodized colored liners. Fromage all day long. Yep. So as Jim is putting here, if you're interested in joining Patreon, do so. Go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/Patreon. And let me show you what you stand to win if you become a gentleman junkie this month. We will be giving away this beautiful way too classy for this show. No, I'm just kidding. This is the Malibu reverse Tonto, quote unquote, from ProTech. This one is in 20 CV steel. There's the maker's mark right on the spine. I love that when they do that. ProTech 20 CV. You can see that plunge lock and the crisp brake. Oh, man. Yeah, they really have this nailed. This design is so nice. I can see why people have gone absolutely bonkers over this damn knife for the last year or so, or 2 years. The Malibu is just so dialed in. This will be the Gentleman Junkie knife giveaway knife on December 21st. Have this in time for Christmas. And by doing so, you can thank Northern Knives. They've given this to us to give to you. And I'm very, very happy to be sending this along. So very excited for that. Be sure to join us on TheKnifeJunkie.com/Patreon. Well, guys, tell me what you're looking forward to this weekend. Northern Knives, everyone hit that thumbs up, he says. That's right. Hit the thumbs up. And thank you again, Northern Knives, for the short period of time I get this and for the lifetime that whoever ends up winning this of time that they get with this. Byron says Madison Avenue Wet Dream, new avatar name. Bob, you're such a conformist, Bob. I love my brother. He was awesome, and he kept my shiznit in check. Just 4 years older than me. You know, you gotta make sure that your younger brother doesn't grow up to be a total brat. My PT Malibu was one of the few knives I regret selling. Oof, get it back, baby. Craig Vincent says, perhaps I'll grow up in my knife life, and instead of buying mediocre quantity, I'll buy more disciplined and save resources for some premium pieces. Yeah, maybe you'll do that, Craig. Or maybe you'll do both, like me, and you'll haul off and get yourself a Rough Rider for $20 just because you want that shape. And then you'll save up and you'll get some ridiculous fixed blade knife on the other end of things. And you will have no idea who to sell any of this stuff to when it's time to. And believe me, there comes a time when you got to sell all this stuff off because you don't want to leave the people you love with a big, giant stock of knives they don't know what to do with. Doug, what do you believe is the most durable steel? Durable. I'm going to go with a fixed blade steel. I'm going to go with like a 3V or a much less durable but quite flexible, which to me is durable, tough. 1095 is a great steel. I know everyone's like 1095. Oh my god. But I mean, if we're talking durable, we're talking tough, we're talking can take abuse and flex and take a new edge and is not overly brittle. Yeah, I'd say 3V or 1095. What do you guys think? Rough Rider is an excellent way to determine if you like a pattern. It is. It is. And they have some patterns that you don't find anywhere else either. Craig says, Bob, I married a woman once because I wanted that shape. That's funny. Well, there are lots of reasons to get married, and that's one of them. And that's, it might not be the best one, but that's definitely a very compelling one. Am I right? I mean, who hasn't thought that way? Northern Knives, no one ever wins a blade sports competition without M4. M4, yes. Yeah, that's even better than 3V. Well, I don't know. Geez, what the hell do I know? I just know that I really love M4, only because I had a Contigo that was so great. Even though I couldn't stand the handle, the blade was so excellent. Pat D's nuts. Looking forward to getting my new car to the Pro Turner shop to get looking over tomorrow and then relaxing for the rest of the weekend. That sounds good, Pat. Get your wheels in fine order and then just kick back. I love that idea. Things have been so busy for the last 2 to 3 months. This weekend, I think there's gonna birthday party. Okay. So my daughter's turning 9 this weekend. So it's not totally free of activity, but we're getting there. Byron says, thanks, Bob. Jim Junkie's got to get out of here. Have a great weekend. All right, Byron, take care. That's it for me too. And for Jim, thank you guys for joining us. Be sure to tune in on Sunday for Michael Cahill of 310 Forge, an awesome dude making sweet Bowies in his forge. Do check that out. It'll be great to see you there. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. For Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I'm Bob DeMarco saying until next time, please, I implore you, don't take dull for an answer.